Yeah, this is I think, a really interesting book. How this evolved was just in my own journey. I've done extensive retreat practice for, as I say, about 50 years now. And part of what I realized probably about 15 or 20 years ago was that other than working with therapists trying to work through the different psychological issues that I had, I found that my meditation career wasn't adequately addressing, uh, I'd say, my dysfunctional humanity. And so, there were ways, even though I had access to transcendent states and I could there was sort of contact ongoing, there still were times when I was uh, having outbursts and anger and upset driving and frustrated with my partner and all these different things. And so I could tell that even though I was in touch with this really deep place, it wasn't making its way sufficiently into my personality material. And so I began working with the Diamond Approach, which I did for about 15 years, including the 8-year teacher training they have, the seminary. I didn't become a Diamond Heart teacher, but I really got to appreciate the relationship between the personal work and the spiritual work, or I call it transformational and transcendent. And so that really helped me a lot work through my issues. I don't teach the Diamond Approach, but what I found working with students, and I do a lot of one-on-one work. I normally do between 5 and 8 one-on-one sessions, Monday through Friday. And so I work with students a lot. And what I found was when they were working with an emotion that was challenging, say somebody had a repetitive emotion of anger, getting them to recall the last experience of anger and then helping them meditatively move to the vulnerability preceding the anger reaction. That was where I found there was a lot of potential to work. And if they could abide in that vulnerability, which normally for anger is some form of weakness. And physically, we can feel it like ice water in our arms and legs. I can barely lift my arm. I feel weak, that kind of experience. But I found if they could stay with that and abide with the vulnerability turned into the portal. And that would open up to the quality of the absolute, which was authentic strength. And that's actually what we were hoping to draw upon for the incident at hand. And I found with working with individuals, and then I've tried it with a few groups, that this wasn't 100% change from one experience, but it began opening this portal. And they began to realize, oh, the vulnerability is important to abide with, not just to jump over it and get to anger or hatred or whatever the strong emotion is, but to stay with that vulnerability was really the key. And that's really what I've seen folks doing. So I began sort of keeping track of what I was working with, what I was noticing in my own meditation. And then I do teach the heart practices we call the Brahma Viharas. And same thing, I was seeing the psychological places people were getting snagged. And if I could help them meditatively come to the vulnerability preceding the reaction, then that ended up becoming, again, the portal. And so that ended up leading to this book. And I included the Theravadan concentration or samatha practices because they function in a way of helping us gradually deconstruct the self by identifying the concepts of me in all these different ways.